Hello, friends. Welcome to this episode of The More You Know. And today's guest is my good friend, Alex Dargali. Me and Alex have not spoken in about 11 years until the other day he followed me on Instagram. And judging from his Instagram post, I wanted to get him on this podcast because he's a very knowledgeable person within health and fitness. And I had a blast recording this episode with him, and we will definitely have him on again. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode. Hello, friends. So today we're joined by my good friend Alex Dargali. It's been like a long time since we've
11
spoken.
years?
Yeah, I was gonna say because because what was it? We were in 8th grade, was it?
Yeah, that was when I moved out of Michigan. You remember how we met?
We met.
Our first conversation?
Was it our first confrontation? Like me, you, and Josh and Julian were doing like a project.
No. I thought, I don't know, maybe my memory is bad, but I thought I saw you in Mr. Krent's class in woodshop, and I told you, I was like, hey, you're in all my classes. And you were like, yeah. And then I was like, that's cool, man. I think you asked me, you were like, do you play Pokemon? And I was like, no. You're like, I got level 99 Pikachu.
That's amazing.
I don't know if you remember the same.
I do actually.
But
I do because I remember that Pikachu thing being like a ongoing joke throughout the years. Yeah. But ever since you moved out of Michigan, because I remember that one day we were hanging out, and then you were like, "Yeah, I'm moving to California soon," and then I was like, "Well, wait, what?" And then it happened so fast. And then the other day I saw that you followed me, and then I was like, "Oh my god, Alex Dargali!"
Yeah.
I haven't talked to him in so long. But yeah, how's life been since you moved to Cali?
Well, it's big difference. I don't know if you remember. I was kind of a little bully, like 7th grade, and then I started flipping it around towards 8th grade. I used to always pick on Josh, and then
Yeah,
I slowly blacked off on that. And then when I came out here, it was just complete different person. Everything changed. You're no longer in your comfort zone. You're no longer in a situation that you're familiar with, and everything out here was so much different. I wasn't used to it. No more snow.
That must be nice.
Oh yeah. I don't miss that.
So, like right now, I'm kind of in the same situation that you were in, like when you first moved, because I just moved down to Georgia, and it's completely different. Like it's hot every single day here, and there's no snow at all. How did you, like, for me, I find it kind of hard, like after you move on from college and everything, to make friends. Like how did you like find an established group? Because based on your Instagram, it seems like you have a nice steady like group of friends that you hang out with now.
Well, with my Instagram, I only made that about a month ago, so I'm fairly new to it. I got really lucky. Because you remember I came out here right before high school started.
Yeah.
And high school was like really where I found out who I was as a person. And then on top of that, I'm Syrian, and we have a community out here. We got a really strong community through the churches. And that got me to meet thousands of people. And that did, like, the churches out here, they established events and things like that for camping, and we got like Christmas parties and things like that, picnics. And you get to meet a lot of people. You network a lot.
Yeah, that's funny that you say that, because one of the people that I know up here, when they first moved up here, and I asked them how did they meet people, they did the same thing, but they went to like an Asian church, and they met so many people through an Asian church. So I was like, oh, I guess churches are the way to go, huh?
I mean, it is a sense of community. It's definitely a great way to meet good people. I wouldn't rely on it 100% because there's other ventures to meet people, and it's you're always going to meet some people that you don't click with, and especially in a church environment, if you don't click with everybody in there, you might be cast out.
Gotcha.
And it's so, and us as people, we're so tribal.
Yeah.
That it's always like, if you don't get along with everybody, you can't get along with anybody.
I feel you. It's very good to have a open mind with people. Just not judging everyone from the book of the cover. From the book of the cover is what I've learned.
Well, even like in high school, when I first moved out here in high school, California is like it's not like Michigan. It wasn't as diverse.
Really?
There was everybody out here. Now it's because of the woke culture, but when I first moved out here, it was a lot of like the surfer boys would hang out with each other, the jocks would hang out with each other. And in California, it's like, oh, if you didn't grow up with us and you didn't play sports with us, you're not really welcomed in.
Oh, wow.
So even like with, I don't know, the only group that did really accept me was like the Hispanics. So, really? I mean, I went throughout high school playing handball at the handball courts, and it was much different. But then my senior year came along, and I found lifting. And when I started lifting, started getting bigger. And I actually, my high school, I was probably in the top 5 biggest guys in the school, like heaviest lifters.
No way, really?
Nice physique, yeah. And then that's when I started getting a lot more friends. That's when everybody else opened up, which is a little strange.
Yeah, because when you first followed me on Instagram, I was really shocked because I was like, I haven't talked to you in so long, so like I don't know what you've been up to, but I didn't know that you became such like a fitness fanatic now. Like judging from your Instagram, you do everything. Like actually, like you're very health and fitness oriented now, and it's really interesting to me because you're doing all these therapies and all these techniques of like recovery that I'm really interested in. That and I wanted to know more about like how you found your way to fitness. And it looks like right now you're going to compete. It looks like.
Yeah, I was supposed to have a show May 2nd, but it got rescheduled due to COVID.
Mm-hmm.
But we're still right now. We're in a state where we're doing like pretty much a 2-week, 3-week bulk, and then we're doing a 2-3 week cut. Just to maintain that low body fat percentage, we're sticking around 10%. But because once the show date is for sure, when they put it set in stone, it only takes about 6 weeks to get from that 10% to getting conditioned.
Oh,
so
yeah,
we just want to hang out around there, but I don't want to stay too lean to lose muscle tissue. And then also because this is some time that we have, I do want to gain some size. It is super slow. It's not as efficient as if I were to go on a complete bulk.
Yeah.
But even with the fitness industry, I've always been around it. I don't know if you remember my cousin Mitchell. He went to Fraser High. Dargali or Justin Dargali.
I've definitely heard of the name. I don't think I've met him before.
My cousins have always been in the fitness industry, and even my father used to bodybuild.
No way, really?
Yeah, that's actually I'm a mesomorph, but I've always been a fat kid because growing up I saw my father eating 1,000 grams of carbs a day, and you learn from your surroundings, and so I always started getting a big appetite because I thought that's the way to eat, was always to get 2-3 servings of food every time.
You're literally describing me right now, because when I was a kid, I would eat so much rice. I would have 2-3 bowls of rice every single meal, and that's even today. Like I have rice.
What was that buffet that we used to all go to?
Buffet?
Yeah, you remember we used to do like a 2-day fast, and we'd go to a buffet out in Michigan. We'd go on early release days.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
I remember you always had a big appetite.
Those were the good old days. But honestly, like that big appetite, like that carries on to you when you're older, and it's expensive.
Oh yeah,
from what I've seen.
For me, I don't know if it was because like even when I was a child, my parents would, instead of getting me like one Happy Meal, they would get me 2. Instead of getting me like one combo, I would always get 2 and then like an extra side. And for me, it caused me to become obese. So like even like I recently fell off. I was working out from like the age of 15 to 19, and when I was 19, I was actually in more shape than I am right now. I had more lean body mass than I do right now. But then I moved cities to venture a new business, family business.
Yeah.
And it put stress on me, and my appetite was so bad, and I just didn't have time to go to the gym. And that caused me to get to like 265, around 35% body fat. A lot of inflammation. I mean, it was beyond obesity, and it needed to change. So that's why now I'm cutting back, but it definitely does help to have that appetite, but it is a blessing and a curse at the same time. Because to get that weight off is not easy, because you're constantly hungry. Even like right now, I weigh 180 and I'm at around like 9% body fat as of today. And my calories are probably around 4,000.
4,000? I mean, you are bulking too. But
I'm still starving. That's like a starving state for me.
What?
Like I think I can get that to 5-6, no problem.
So, okay, and judging from your Instagram, are you keto now? Because I see that you post a lot of like keto, kind of like recipes on there. So
I'm actually not keto at all. Those are the meals I make for my mom. My mom's got a GI tract problems, and she has digestive problems. We kind of all have them in the family. So with me, I have to do 8 meals a day.
8 meals a day?
Yeah, every 2 hours. For some reason, that's the only way I can become regular. That's when like my bowel movements are perfect. No bloatiness, and just I absorb the protein and the carbs much better that way. I don't have to do like a glucose disposal agent. I don't get any gas when I do that. If I'm going to spread out my meals every 3 hours to 3.5 hours, I get hungry. And then when I do eat, I bloat for some reason. And if I do 2.5 hours, that's the worst one. If I do 2.5 hours, I'm fatigued all day long. I feel like a couch potato. Doesn't matter where the calories are. Yeah. For some reason, 2 hours is perfect. 3.5 is okay because I feel like I'm in a fasted state all day.
Mm-hmm.
Because fasting for me is easy. Because I used to do Sunday fast every Sunday.
How long would you fast for?
I would do 36 hours.
36 hours of fasting?
See, Brian, when you start the fast, the first few are hard, but then afterwards you start getting like this monk instinct. You just tell yourself you're not going to eat, and then after the first 3 hours, those are the difficult ones. You just don't have an appetite.
That is interesting. For
me, at least.
I mean, I kind of see that. As well. Like, I know what you're talking about, because I kind of fast almost every day. I stopped eating like at 9 or 10, and then I fast until the next morning. And usually I get really hungry around like 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. But like if I'm busy with work and I don't like think about eating, then my appetite goes away. And when I get my first meal in at like noon, it's really hard for me to get the food down, because I'm not really like, I don't have an appetite, which is really weird.
You don't try to break your fast with like a bone broth or try to do like something higher with fat concentrate on it, because that will slow down your digestive. Because what I realized when I was fasting was if I did like a carb right away, my body wouldn't react, because your gut is relaxing for such a long time. It's not digesting anything. And it just, I know it's good for your gut biome, and it's good for your tract system. And what would happen with the carb is I just feel like, especially if it was like a high like a higher glycemic carb, what would happen was I'd get that insulin spike, and right away I would bloat, and I would just feel like a puffer fish. And it would take like a while, and I would be gassy until it finally settled down. But then even with that, what would happen throughout the day is if I had anything like sugar alcohols, like any gum or if I had any artificial sweeteners in anything, that would cause real bad gas and real bad bloating.
Really?
The worst one was the sparkling ice.
Ooh.
That would destroy me.
Do you drink those often?
No. Now I made it the norm for me. It's like I do boiled chicken and I do tilapia right now. This is what's on my meal plan. And the tilapia is oven baked. But because I don't do Mrs. Dash, I don't do any seasonings.
You don't do any seasonings? With tilapia? Really?
With everything. So right now on my meal plan, I got sweet potatoes, I got brown rice, I have egg whites, I have berries and oats, I have chicken and tilapia. And with those, because there's no seasoning, you're so used to it. And I actually do look forward to my meals, even though there's no taste to them and it's bland. It's almost like a caveman diet.
Do you put sauces with them when you're eating, like barbecue?
No condiments.
Sriracha? No. Oh my God.
Because now I'm used to it, but I'll bring those back in once I do a bulk. Because right now I just don't want no trace calories.
Gotcha.
And
Makes sense.
I feel like because, bro, I've been in a deficit since October of 2017. Like this is not a 2-day journey. This has been for a long time.
This is basically a lifestyle for you now.
Yeah. I was so bad back in October. During that time, I hit 265, and I actually went to a party, and I saw a picture from this party. The other day, I was cleaning out my closet. It was about a month ago, and I saw size 44 pants in there. And I was like, these aren't mine. Whose are these? These are somebody else's. Somebody must have forgotten these. And then I see this photo like a week later. And in the photo, I was wearing those pants. And
oh, wow.
I don't know what I was weighing at that time. I don't know how because when you look at yourself in the mirror, you're like, oh yeah, I look fine. Even till now, like, even though I lost over 85 pounds, I still see the same guy. Nothing changed. The image is the same person.
But
if you look at every single one of those days, let's say Mrs. Dash has only got half a calorie per serving. You're looking at least 1,000 calories throughout all those days. That's half a pound. Same thing when I work out, I wear sweats, I wear sweatpants, and I wear a long sleeve shirt. I tuck it in, and I wear a hoodie. Summertime, wintertime, doesn't matter because now my body is going to have to it's going to burn calories because it's forced to cool me down. If that burns only 50 calories every single time you work out, that's 300 calories a week. A normal prep is 12 weeks.
Yeah.
So that's 3,600 calories. If you lose 1 pound of true fat loss, that's huge. A lot of people, they lose 20, 30 pounds in a month, but what they don't understand is that 20, 30 pounds wasn't fat. That was water. You lost fluids, inflammation, and there's organ tissue in there, and there's muscle tissue in there.
That's a big misconception when people want to go low carb diets. That's what I feel like is that it's not going like when people do all these fad diets. I want to call them like low carb, keto, all that. You're going to lose weight in the first couple weeks, but it's going to come back if you resume your normal habits.
See, that's the thing with keto is with keto, every 1 gram of carbohydrates retains 3 to 4 grams of water. So even the average American is eating at least 300 to 400 grams of carbs a day. So if you take that out right away, you're losing 1,600 grams of water. That's 1.6 kilos. 1.6 kilos is like 5 pounds. That's in 1 day you lost. That's not real. That's not real weight loss. But the nice thing about keto, Brian, is that your blood sugars are low. This is why I like keto. I'm an advocate for keto. The only reason why I don't do it is the physique that I aspire to have is not possible because you lose the pump and you lose the glucose.
You need the carbs for the pump, the energy.
Yeah, and to have your muscle bellies filled. Because, even with contest prep, we do low carb days and we do high carb days. The days that we do low carb days are on stronger muscle groups because we don't need to focus on them. And those high carb days are on lacking muscle groups because we want to shape the body. We want to sculpt it.
Yes.
Now, you can tell the difference dramatically. But here's the problem with carbs. When your glucose, let's say your glucose tank, let's just call it that. It's just glucose in the cells. When they're not depleted, when they're full, your body is burning the glucose because it's more efficient to burn the glucose for energy than it is to utilize fat. Yeah. So that's why you see people doing cardio post-workout. They're trying to deplete their body of glucose, and now their body is going to have to go into ketosis to burn off all the fat, to use the fat cells to provide energy. Now, with keto, you don't need to worry about that because you can do cardio before your workout, in the middle of your workout, after your workout. Doesn't matter because your body's only running off fat. But it takes 28 days to convert your body to utilize. See, this is the thing. People think that your body now is 100% burning fat or 100% burning carbs. It's not that. It's a spectrum. Your body will use maybe 20% carbs and 80% fats, and then it might switch over. And that might change from time to time depending on where your body is at, where your carb levels are at. Actually, I think it's blood sugars to be exact.
Really? Wow. That is interesting. Holy crap.
See, that's why I'm a huge advocate for keto. But the problem with it is I don't see the possibility to build adequate muscle tissue. You could build muscle tissue, but the thing is that glucose is going to help you tear up muscle tissue much better than a keto diet is. You can tell the difference in your life. You're going to lose about 5 pounds on all your PRs.
Oh, I cannot imagine that. Right now, I'm going through a struggle right now of thinking of how my PRs are affected right now because I don't have a gym available to me, and
Yeah, but also you got to remember you go through weeks where you deload. You go through weeks where that's going to help you progress.
This has been a 2-month deload for me then.
Yeah, but even I seen you've been posting videos of you working out at home. And you have to remember, those are different variations. So your body should be responding to them. I had a period, I'm very lucky. I do have access to a studio where I can work out. And there was 5 days where I didn't have access to it. And Brian, to tell you the truth, in those 5 days that I did home workouts, I received the craziest pumps. I believe that I got stronger because when I went back into the gym, I just felt so rejuvenated. I just felt fresh. I felt really good and I was motivated to be there and I was so happy to be back. But I think that I built more muscle at home, but the only issue with working out at home is there's no motivation. If you drive to a facility to work out, you already drove there. You already put on the clothes. You're already there. You're already ready to go. You're going to finish that damn workout.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like
at home, you might do a set and then sit on your ass and then do another set.
Yes, exactly.
That was the issue, yeah.
Like for me right now, working out at home is very, very you have to get yourself up. Like it's harder. It's definitely harder. Both the workouts are harder, I feel like, because for me, I'm just I'm not in my usual groove. Like I don't have my usual setup. I don't have my usual routine that I do that I would do before the gym. I kind of just go out in the living room and I'm like, okay, let's see what I can do with these resistance bands and a 35-pound dumbbell and two 15-pound dumbbells.
Try switching it up at all? Like
I'm trying to do more body weight, more resistance bands. Yeah. But for me, wait, what?
I'm sorry. My bad. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. For me, I'm just trying to do more body weight stuff. I'm struggling right now because I don't have a pull-up bar, and I'm kind of scared to use one of the doors as a pull-up thing because I weigh right now I weigh 220 pounds, so I feel like my fat ass will probably break the door.
I don't think so. See, I would use those even at like 250.
Oh, really?
At a chunky weight, yeah. And I never had an issue with them, but the problem that I have with them is I when I didn't have access to a gym back in March, I couldn't. Nope, everybody was sold out, so I bought one from Craigslist, and it was a used one, and they put in the bolts backwards.
Oh, yikes!
So I put it on the door, and now I got 2 holes in the wall. I got a big black mark. But
oh man!
But that's the only issue I've ever had with them. I think they're stable. I mean, you see those videos of them snapping, but even when I was at my chunkiest and I've used them, I never had any issues at all. The only issue that I do have is, so I have lacking lats, and so I get on it. So, you can dangle from a pull-up bar to help stretch that lat out. Mm-hmm. And the wider the grip, the wider the lat should be. The bigger the V-taper is going to become.
Really? Okay.
You can't reach out too far. For me, it's just maybe an inch past my shoulder blade. So it's not even, I don't know if it's because I got a broader chest, a broader shoulder. But even if you walk up to your door frame, think about it. Your shoulders are like an inch away from the door frame.
Yeah.
On both sides. So the bar only comes out to the end of the door frame.
Yeah.
You're not really getting that, because on a regular pull-up bar, they're much longer. They go for, I believe, like 50 inches. So dangling by that, you get a better stretch on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then even because it's on the door frame, you can't wrap your hands all the way around the bar unless you want to come closer. But now if you come in closer, now I feel like you're narrowing your shoulders, and that's just going to put some strain on your front delt. I didn't like that. I just felt like the only thing that I could really do with it was close grip, and I could do wide grip, but with the wide grip, you can't go too heavy because now you're doing a false grip. You're pretty much holding yourself from your fingertips.
Oh, God. Interesting facts. Another thing I wanted to ask you was, are you getting coached right now by someone, or are you doing this all by yourself?
No, I'm actually with Coach Psycho. I don't know if you've ever heard of Chris Lewis.
Chris Lewis? That sounds really familiar, actually.
Do you know who Sean Roden is?
Uh-huh.
Okay, Chris Lewis took Sean Roden to the Olympia back when he won it in 2017. He was training Stanimal and Dexter Jackson. He was training Sean Roden during that time. And then there was some feuds that happened. I don't know the details. There was problems in Gold's Gym. They kicked him out. So what he decided to do was just give out all the secrets.
Oh, wow.
Just pick up regular clients and train them to become elite athletes. And he's used to training higher caliber athletes, but I mean, now he's got us, and I mean, we're all putting in our work, and he's able to transform our bodies.
Mm-hmm. Because I see you tagging psycho training or something in all of your posts. So I was always curious of like who, and if you were sponsored by this person or if you were just getting trained by him or not.
So he's my coach. He's my posing coach, and he's my training coach, and he does my diets.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he's got a really good system on how he does things. The way we work things is there's a tech support, and for some reason I don't think any of us know his name. But tech is the best. Like whatever you are dealing with, whatever problem you have, you just like, even when I'm sick, I'll let him know like, hey, I took Tylenol today. Hey, no bowel movement today. If you did a cheat, I mean, I haven't done a cheat yet, but you just let him know and he'll put that down. It's pretty much like, you got to think of it like this. He's the nurse and Psycho's the doctor. You get to talk to Psycho on the phone, FaceTime every week. He does his live, so there's always information out there. He is doing your diet, but Tech is typing it out. And even when you call Psycho, Tech is there writing down notes. So as soon as you're done with that call, he might send you over a new plan depending on what you tell him. Like recently, I told him, hey, let's try out 8 meals. And he was like, okay, if you can do it, let's do it. If you got time to do 8 meals, we're going to do it. And within 20 minutes, I got a brand new, they send it over in a doc format, like a Word doc, and brand new meals. And then what we like to do is every 6 to 8 weeks, we switch up the workout. I know a lot of people like to do it every week, but if you change the workout every week, Brian, you never know where you're at. There's no way to measure where your strength is at because it's a new variation. So it's going to confuse the body, yes. But when you do the same workouts, let's say you're doing a diet. If you're cutting, you want to keep as much strength as possible. Now, if let's say you're doing flat bench and then incline flies, and then you're doing, let's just keep it at 3 workouts, keep it simple. Okay. And then like a Smith machine press. Okay. When you're doing all 3 of those, if the next week you did incline, if you did flat bench at like 185, and then the week after you're at 160, okay, now there's something wrong with the diet. You lost way too much strength. So we need to bump up your calories a little more.
Yeah.
We have an issue. And if you're bulking and you're not going up in strength, we're putting on the calories too fast. So you can always gauge where you're at. You can, that's why I do the cupping as well. I get cupped every week. If the cupping doesn't go amazing. Away in 3 days, it shows where you're. First off, it stretches the muscle out. It brings blood flow to the surface. Yes. It helps you grow, and it's amazing for recovery. But if those cup marks don't go away from 3 to 4 days, you have something wrong. Either your cardio is too low because the blood circulation is not happening correctly. You're retaining water for some reason, or there's something wrong with your diet. You're missing some nutrients because your body's not recovering.
So
cupping is a bruise.
Yeah, I've done cupping a lot of times. My parents have one, and I used to do it at home all the time. So tell me more about what the bruises mean. Like, the darker it is, is that like something wrong with your diet, or are you just more tense and tight there? Because for what I've always thought was that if I have dark spots in a specific area, that means that I'm just tight there. Like I either have knots there, or I need to stretch it out more. But is there more meaning to these, or?
See, the only colors that I ever get concerned with is when you see like a yellow or a green color.
Ooh.
That's showing that you have toxins that are being released from the body. So either that's from your diet, or you're eating foods that are high in metals.
Really?
That can be like if you're doing the standard American diet and you're eating a lot of processed food, that's why you have those toxins in you. Or if you're drinking a lot of alcohol, that's why it's coming out green/yellow. But the darker on the red net, if it's darker red, or if it's like almost purple, or if it's blue, or if it's light.
Well, I never have
that. I wouldn't really worry about that. That can be either the suction was stronger that time.
Oh, dude, the suction sometimes feels like it's literally burning me sometimes, which is really
that happens to me on my traps, and that can also be from higher blood flow in that area.
Really,
I wouldn't really be too concerned about that, because if you got more blood flow in a certain area, what I realize is my areas that are more dominant, that are bigger than the other areas, because my rear delts are really dominant compared to my back. Like when I do a lat spread,
if
I puff up my chest too much, my traps will pop out and the whole rhomboid will come out.
Oh wow!
And it doesn't look proportionate. It looks really bad. And for some reason, whenever I get cupped in that area, it's just a darker spot. And I think it's just because you got more muscle mass there. And the more muscle mass is, the bigger the surface area, the more blood supply that needs to be sent to that area.
Interesting, yeah. Because when I get cupped, the most prominent spots that are usually dark for me is my upper back, like near my traps, my rear delts, and in that specific area. But for someone who is interested in cupping, is there a specific technique that you use when you cup? Because I know that when I did it, I didn't have a specific technique. I usually just tried to fill my whole back with the cups that I had.
Or
do you target specific areas that you're feeling like tight on? Or
see, I'm with I see a massage therapist for all my tissue work.
Oh, wow, really?
Usually, what we do is we usually take photos, and he likes to target my lacking areas because he just wants to bring more recovery to that area.
No way, that is legit.
Well, because Brian, you got to look at it like this. We're at the point where we're not just walking to the gym and not doing it. Like, we're not just going doing whatever. It's not a social event. For me, it's a place of therapy. I absolutely love it, but I have a purpose to going in there. So when I walk in there, my workout is structured for specific reasons. You're trying in the bodybuilding industry, you're trying to sculpt your body. Yes. You want to look a certain way, and you get the knowledge to do it. You have to learn how to obtain that body. And so when we take a photo, for right now, my lacking parts are my chest and my lats. And
what part of your chest, just out of curiosity?
It's just the mass.
Oh, just the mass of it.
Yeah, because I did a lot of incline when I was a kid. Somebody told me incline is the best. It's like 75% of your chest. And
I mean, once that like upper chest area. So when you wear like V-necks, it looks like it just has your
it pops out.
Popping out. I was like, oh my God.
It is. It's nice. I mean, now I learned to love it, but I can tell the difference because I don't have that like that thickness. I have the broadness, and I have the thickness on the top portion, but on the bottom portion, it kind of like it almost slopes into my abs.
Wait, what?
There is a gap. I mean, don't get me wrong. There is like a gap, but it's not. You know how like on the lower chest, some guys they have on their lower chest, it almost looks like they have gyno, or they have like a like real breast.
Yeah.
Like, that's from having a big chest. I don't have that. Mine's kind of like a physiques guy's chest. Like I don't have a chest of like an open bodybuilder. I have a chest of a physique guy. And that's due to like, even on the side of my chest, it's not real tight because it's so close. It's not thick. You know what I mean? It's not popping out.
Yeah. I know one part that I'm lacking in right now that I'm trying to fix a lot is my outer lower chest right now, which I know that you have to do more like dumbbell flies with it. Mm-hmm. But I feel like no matter how many I do, like it's not taking that rounded shape out of my lower outside pec.
You know what you need to do?
Dips.
This is an old dips. That's one of them. But there's an exercise nobody remembers.
And
it's called crucifix.
What?
Have you ever done crucifix?
Heck no. What is this?
Okay, so you lay on the ground and do your flies on the ground. Do your flies. Lay on the ground and do your flies.
Okay, so and another thing that I've been really debating is that when I started doing, like, I'm really conflicted on how I should do this. Since I only have one 35-pound dumbbell, I've been doing just single-armed presses and doing flies. But I recently switched it up from doing it from like kind of like doing it on a chair where I have more range of motion, but I switched to doing it on the floor. But I can't really gauge on which one I like more, because when you're on the floor, you don't really get that much range of motion. You're kind of constricted by the floor.
Yeah, I see. What I like to do is I like to bring my elbows to the ground and then press up. And the nice thing with that,
when you're doing lying down on the floor.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's how I do it too. But I don't know like if that is the most effective way, because I feel like I could go more to get more of a stretch,
bigger stretch on the eccentric.
Yeah.
See, Brian, but the thing is, that's nice about that is when you let your elbow hit the ground. Have you ever done to negatives, like where you get on a Smith machine, or not a Smith machine? You come onto like a squat rack, and then you put a bench underneath it, and
I have done that before.
You let the bar come all the way down, and you let it go to zero, and then you explode.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's going to help you with the positive. And then what you're really focusing on is the negative. So when you're doing those on the ground, when you bring your elbows down to the ground, come down super slow. Yeah. Now you're working on the discentric, and that's also because that's a variation. That's different. Your body's going to react to it very well. And then when you change it up, you can go higher on weight, but I know you're restricted to 35-pound dumbbell. Yeah. So it's very difficult. What I would do is I would do 5 seconds on the discentric. I'd come up. I'd do maybe a 1-2. When I come up, I would squeeze, contract it as hard as you can for 2 seconds. And then when you're coming down, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then let your elbow hit the ground. Yeah. And then if you want a bigger range of motion, take a pillow, put it underneath your back.
I did think about that before about doing that.
See, we use a Psycho pad. My coach has his own pad. It's the same. It's like the pad that's on the bench, but it's not attached to anything. It's just the pad. And so I put that on the ground. We use it for static training because it stops momentum. So we'll put it on like on a hammer strength high row. You'll put it on the chair, and it just keeping your body, you're stuck. And just stopping all that momentum, and now it's just static training. There's different ways to utilize it. We use it for if I want to do pullovers. I'll use it. If I want to do like an incline lateral raise, I'll put it on the bench to give me that extra cushioning, just so now my body cannot move. I'll lean up against it. It's just different variation. And usually I'll lay on that, and then when I'm coming back down, you feel that chest opening up. And I like to keep my elbows a little higher and just keep it at a false grip. Don't put your thumbs underneath the bar. Put your thumbs over the bar. So now you're forced to use your chest, and you can no longer use your front delt. And then for the crucifix, it's just like the flies. But when you come up, you supinate. And when you supinate, you twist all the way to palms are facing you.
Wait, really? That's called the crucifix?
Yes.
Okay, because I've been doing that for so long. I've always been a fan of supinations for flies, because I feel it a lot more whenever I supinate up. Like when people do it like normal flies where you just meet at the top and you have dumbbells like clumped together, I don't feel that as much as I if I supinate.
Well, because when you come in straight up, you're not actually contracting the muscle. You're just pushing it. It's almost I'll only do presses if I want to pump. I just want to get the blood flow in there, so that way I can actually do the real workout. Or I'll do presses if I want to go heavy, because that's the easiest way to do it. Powerlifters, their competition, their PRs, their highest weight that they can lift are in things like squats, bench press, and deadlifts. So on those workouts, it's always just heavy. I'm not really trying to, focus on the contraction, because to build muscle, and if you're going just for physique and cosmetic purposes, not functional, you just want to tear the muscle as much as you can, and then you want to recover.
Yeah, that time under tension is crucial to it.
Yeah, and that's why, just keep doing those. That's the only way that I feel like you can grow that lower edge of your chest.
Yeah, I feel you on that one. Yeah, I like, for me, this whole thing has taught me that I'm never taking another gym day for granted ever again, even if it's a leg day, because right now I'm having serious withdrawals from the gym right now. And one thing that I forgot to ask you, what kind of bodybuilding are you going into? NPC, classic?
So it is NPC, but I'm definitely going to do physique, just because my size. I lost so much muscle tissue from when I was younger. because I let myself get obese and because I didn't really train. I haven't bulked since I've been working out. So like a real true bulk. Yeah, right now we're just keeping the bulk. That's just to keep my metabolism from crashing. That's just to keep me from losing muscle tissue. Like these 2-week bulks, these 3-week bulks, and then 2-3 weeks cutting. Even if the show is 10 weeks away or 15 weeks away, I'm only going to gain 1.5 pounds of muscle. But if I did a real bulk, I would gain 5-6 pounds. And I want to see if my body is going to, the muscle memory.
Yeah.
I want to see how true is that. I want to see how big I can become. So for this show, just because I was already lean, I was like, let's put myself out there for my first show. Let's get let's show what physique I got, and then let's do a bulk. I honestly think that after the first bulk, I'll probably put on 10 pounds.
Damn.
I think I'm capable of doing it. I don't know how long I want to bulk for. It just depends, because even with my coach, he doesn't. Once the abs start going away, you start cutting. There is no, let's not get pudgy. Let's not overdo it. No dirty bulk. Even with the bulking, there's going to be a diet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's probably going to be a little bit more cheats, but that's okay because we're still progressing. And those cheats aren't really cheats, because you know how it is when you have a bad meal. When you have a dirty meal, the next day you're lifting so much more, so much better, because the sodium's retaining water, and then there's so much carbs in those cheat meals.
Oh yeah,
you're fueled. Yeah, you're fueled through a amazing workout the next day.
What's your go-to cheat days, or what? Or how about we say refeed days if you're dieting in like you are doing right now?
Actually, I haven't had a cheat since early February.
Oh wow!
So I haven't even, like, I watch Food Network, and
that's torture.
No, it's not even. I don't even get hungry. I'm just so fascinated on how they can make certain foods.
Oh, okay, yeah.
At this point, I'm cooking my mom keto, and I'm so fascinated with different recipes. Even when I was fasting, I would prep my meal for the next day, and I never got hungry about it. Like, I never craved. Even right now, it's been 3 months, no cheat, and I haven't craved anything. But I kind of crave, like, I'm looking at where the show may be and what date it's gonna be, and I'm really thinking about doing like sushi and going all out. I just want to see how much rolls I can put down, and I want to see what the next day is gonna look like. Just because that's so much carbs, I just want to see how much better my workout's gonna be.
So bloated, but you'll be carb loading.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
And you got to remember, your body's been depleted for so long.
Yeah.
That when you do something like
you're
that,
shocking your whole body at that point.
Oh yeah. I think that alone is going to build muscle.
It's crazy how, like, a lot of people that are like doing like shows and all that, they're a good amount of them, their most favorite cheat meal is sushi, which is really surprising because you would think it would be something like fried chicken, hamburgers, or something.
Brian, this is the thing: is our coaches, a lot of coaches, especially if they know what they're doing. Let's say I haven't cheated on my diet yet, but I got other guys that are with us. Like, I guess you call us a team or family or whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. Other athletes are coached by the same coach. They've cheated, and he has substitutions for them because they've been in the industry for so long that they know. Let's say you cheated and you ate a whole bunch of peanut butter. They'll give you something like steak because they know the steak is going to kill the craving. Mm-hmm. Like, even my coach with the guy that's a little more obese, he'll put cheese in his diet, and cheese is probably the worst thing for dieting.
Oh, cheese is so great. It's crazy how cheese just is like, it just enhances the meals. Water. Yeah, but it's just
it does. It's flavorful, but the problem with cheese is it can cause a hormone imbalance in the body.
Really?
No, for regular dieting, that's not an issue. But when you're trying to be stage ready and you're actually competing with other people,
oh no chance.
You want to let's say it's like a football player. If you're trying to go to the NFL, you're not going to go party if you're really committed about it. You're not going to go party the day before a finals game.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with bodybuilding is you don't want to, because it just holds you back so far. Because that water retention from cheese can last up to 2 weeks. Now, If you're a coach and you're getting weekly progress pics, how am I supposed to know where you're at? Or let's say you change your sodium. This is another reason why I don't use any sodium or Mrs. Dash. I do a teaspoon before my workout of sodium to help me hydrate and to help me sweat. Yeah, for electrolytes. But I don't like to have them in my meal because if I do, there was one time I had pickles and I asked him, can I have pickles? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, perfect. It's a prebiotic. It's going to help me digest my food. And I like pickles. So I had 5 pickles. I had a pickle with every single meal except my last meal, which was a protein shake at the time. And Brian, the next day, I weighed 6 pounds more than I did the week before. The very next week, I weighed 7 pounds less than I did the week before.
Really?
So just by having pickles, it retained that much water.
So much salt in pickles too.
Yeah. So how are you supposed to know where you're at? It's the same thing with like the keto diet we just had. Like, yeah, you thought you lost 6-7 pounds in one day, but you didn't. You just don't have the carbs. They're holding back the water weight. And the same thing with when you tell somebody, hey, hop on creatine during your bulking. Okay, you didn't gain 6 pounds of muscle in a month.
So much water.
Yeah, but that's what a lot of people think is they just see the scale and they judge it off of that. There's no way anybody, unless it's your first year of working out, that you put on 40 pounds of muscle in 1 year.
Oh, heck
because
no.
if that was true, Mr. Olympia would only need to work out 3 years and he made it. But those guys, they're 37 and they've been working out since they were 16.
Yeah. Yeah.
How come you had the secret that he did?
Scale.
Oh yeah, most definitely. It's not a proper way to measure where you're at, to see where your progression's at.
Yeah, that's why when people ask me like when people ask me, oh, how much do you want to lose by the end of like 2 months? And I'm like, I don't look at the scale. I don't really care about the scale. It's all about how I look from a physique standpoint, because the scale is not going to tell you. Because if we're technically speaking right now, if we're basing it off of a BMI, I'm technically obese right now.
Well, same with me. And the thing is too, Brian, is a lot of those things are not accurate. Like, if I step up, like I've done a DECA, the DECA scan. I've done the electro, what is it called? The electro, the things with you either step up on the scale and it sends electrons through your body, see your body fat percentage, or you hold or you hold that device up in the air.
Oh my God. My gym has those. And when they get like clients and they tell them to hold that scale and they're actually recording that, I'm like, how is that accurate?
Well, even like the DECA scan. The DECA scan is a device, and it's supposedly the most accurate one, and it scans your body. And then you also have, there's a guy out and he's got like this van thing, and he's got a tank in the back. It's like a mobile body fat percentage scale, and he goes from town to town, and he goes into Ventura all the time at a gym called Mavericks, and I've done it with him many times. And what you do is it's a plunge, and they put you underwater, and they raise in the volume of the water.
I've actually heard this before.
It's called hydrostatic. I think it's called hydrostatic measurement or something like that. And okay, how come I did all 3 of these around the same exact time? And I even did the calipers where they pinch your skin and they do the reading off of that, and they measure your arms and they do the whole formula. How come every single one of them is 2 to 4% off? 2 to 4% is huge. If you see somebody at 14%, they look fine. You see somebody at 10%, they look shredded.
That's a complete different photo. Yeah, exactly.
So and you got to remember something too, Brian. We have fat in our organs. We have fat in our brain. We have fat in our muscles. Like, I had some guy tell me he was at 3% body fat, and I told him, take off your shirt. And I was at work. I run a gas station, it's family business. I told him, take off your shirt. He took off his shirt. I was like, you don't have abs. You're not at 5%. Because 5% is
5% is very dangerous territory right there. That is like paper cut, and if you get a paper cut at 5%, it can kill you.
Brian, 5 to 3% is essential. That's the fat that's in your brain, and that's the fat in your organs, in your heart. That fat will never be burned. Mm-hmm. It's visceral fat, and you can burn some of it because you convert the white brown cells to the white fat cells to brown fat cells, and the brown fat cells are subcutaneous fat. But when you're shutting down, all you're really burning is the subcutaneous. That's all you want to really burn. If you have like an extended gut or whatever, that might be some visceral fat. Yeah, you want to get rid of some of it. And you would take supplements like CLA, raspberry ketones, or L-carnitine, and that will help convert them.
Mm-hmm. My personal favorite is L-carnitine. I'm not the biggest fan of ketones or CLAs.
See, I'm not a fan of ketones at all, just because I feel like it's a huge gimmick.
Yes. That's my total thoughts on that one too.
But CLA, I like CLA. I just do because it's non-stim. That's another thing that we do right now is because my show got pushed back. I don't even know what show I'm going to do. I'm just going to do the next show that's either in Los Angeles or San Diego.
How close are you to San Diego or LA?
So I recently, last 3 years, I moved to Bakersfield. LA, I'm about an hour and a half. San Diego, I'm probably 4 hours.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, even like, because my show keeps getting pushed back and we don't know what's going on with the coronavirus.
Yeah.
The next show that's actually really going to happen, then, hopefully we know at least 6 weeks before. And that's when I'll go back on stims, like a thermogenic fat burner, something that's got caffeine in it. Like right now, my caffeine intake throughout the day is like 20 milligrams, not even.
What?
Yeah. And the only reason why it's even there is because I have, I drink a tea. It's called yerba mate. And I actually dilute it. Like the very first one, I brew it and then I rebrew it. So I brew it to get all the caffeine out, and then I rebrew it just so now I just kind of have like a washed down tea. And I like it because it helps with like heartburn. It helps my digestive. I like the taste of it a lot. And it's just something that I just can't seem to give up. But to be honest, coming off of caffeine, I got so much energy from it.
Do you have a week of a downfall, like a withdrawal phase?
One day I had a headache. The first night I had a headache. The second night I had a headache. But you got to remember something too. Your sleep becomes phenomenal because there's no.
You're not wrong.
You're actually in real sleep.
Uh-huh.
And now it's been about 2 weeks, and I feel absolutely amazing. And then when I get back onto them, my body's fresh. So all those receptors, I no longer have a tolerance to it because the half-life of caffeine is only 4 to 6 hours. And it takes 5 half-lives to get completely out of your system. So it only takes 30 hours. That's why even our coaches, what they'll do is they tell you to take a fat burner every other day, not every day. Because if you're taking it every day, within like the first 2 weeks, your body's now, it's tolerant to it. So it's not even working for you. You're only on it because you're riding the wave.
Uh-huh.
Because caffeine does oxidate fat cells.
Really?
Caffeine increases your metabolism. Yes. But the issue with it is you get used to it instantly.
Really fast. Yeah. I've seen that happen with me. Like back in the day when I would take consistently, like my pre-consumption would rise like every single week. Like I would take one scoop for 1 week, and then I would take one scoop for the next week, and I wouldn't feel that kind of energy. So I would have to bump it up a little bit to like a scoop and a half, a scoop and a quarter. And
yeah, well, even if you look at like the market, Bang Energy, 300 milligrams caffeine.
That's too much for me.
To be honest, people that have never had caffeine cannot drink it. I will not. Usually when somebody grabs one, I'll ask them, do you drink caffeine? If they say, yeah, we'll sell it to them. If not, I will recommend them to get something else.
Oh, really? So you like look out for people too while you're doing this.
Well, you got to remember, Brian, you remember your first time ever having a Monster or ever having any energy drink? When we were kids, you drink one energy drink, you pull 2 all-nighters.
Yeah.
But when you get older and you start getting hooked on coffee and you get hooked on all these other stimulants, that one energy drink barely gets you through the morning. That coffee barely gets you through the morning. But when we were kids and we weren't used to caffeine, you have one coffee, you're jumping off the walls for the next 8 hours. And you feel your heart pumping. I got to a point where I was drinking 3 bangs a day and it wasn't even doing anything. I just was drinking for the taste. But even this, your body will not, like, yeah, they say caffeine can kill you, blah, blah, blah. It won't at that point because you built up to it. Because that 900 milligrams of caffeine is not 900 milligrams. It's not the same for everybody. For me, it would have been like 100 milligrams for somebody else who does not do caffeine.
Yeah, I saw this post a long time ago. Someone who drinks caffeine on a daily basis, and they're just like, yeah, at this point, I like every time that I drink a cup of coffee, I just get tired because my heart's just like beating so fast that it's just tiring my whole entire body. And when I think of that, they kind of like make sense to me, but I don't know if that makes sense in the scientific world. But that's how I feel when I used to be really high on intake on caffeine, is that when I would drink something minimal like a Monster, it would just make me tired.
Yeah, I felt the same way. You know what I was doing because my carbs got so low. My carbs got to like 30 grams, and
oh my god.
Yeah, well, we thought my show was only like 6 weeks away, but then it turned out that it wasn't.
Yeah,
because it got postponed. But when we did think that it was only 6 weeks away, my carbs got down to like 30 grams, and I was so fatigued. What I would do is caffeine no longer worked for me. So what I had to do was I would take a 5-hour energy, and I would take the cap. I'd fill up the cap, drink it. 30 minutes later to an hour later, I'd fill up another cap, drink it. And out of that 1 5-hour energy, I would get maybe like 8 caps worth. So the whole 5-hour energy is only 240 grams of caffeine.
Like
so
microdosing throughout the day.
Yeah, and it's just because you needed to ride the wave. Because if I didn't have it, I was dead.
Yeah. Wow, it's crazy. It's crazy how fast we get hooked on all these supplements and how much of a killing the supplement industry makes these days.
Yeah, that's why even like if you want true results, you got to put in the real work. You need to go, like, even with these recipes people are coming out with, like, even me, I don't take much supplements. Like, all I really do is glutamine, BCAA, and creatine. And I do those the first thing in the morning, and I do those last thing at night. Only reason why is because
glutamine,
you're sleeping for 8 hours.
Yes.
Your body doesn't have any nutrition. I'm not eating like a salmon or a steak at nighttime that's got a long digestive duration.
Mm-hmm.
So I got nothing to hold me over till the next morning. I drink a protein shake, which spikes your insulin. And that's going to ramp up your metabolism, but it's going to cause you to be hungry, but you're sleeping, so you're not going to feel the hunger. So the next morning when you wake up, your body is looking for fuel, so it will eat muscle tissue. That's why right before I go to sleep, you got your BCAAs to protect you. You got your glutamine to protect you. And you got your creatine to help swell it up.
Interesting.
To keep the muscle from being deplenished.
Have you taken casein before, or?
Yeah, I used to do casein at nighttime. I used to, right before I would sleep, I would take a scoop of casein, and I took Vitagreens. I feel like that's another. Yeah, they were like super green powder.
Is that like a really big one now? Is it like a very expensive one, or like the one that you can find at like a grocery store?
It was like $60 a tub. To be honest, it was probably the same thing that you're gonna find at your local store.
Yeah. I'm me myself. I think I'm gonna hop back on like a green supplement, because right now I'm definitely not getting enough greens in my diet.
Why don't you just, what I've been doing lately is I'll get I'll eat a head of cauliflower.
You eat a head of cauliflower?
No, throughout the day. No, because I got 8 meals, and I eat them raw, and I'll eat them.
Seriously?
Yeah, I'll eat like 3 or 4 pieces, and then because vegetables are going to help you digest protein.
Indeed.
So I have to start. The way that I eat my meals is there's steps. I eat the vegetables first as like a prebiotic to get the gut ready to break down protein, and then I'll eat the protein, and then I'll eat the carbs. Because I want the protein to sit, and then I want the carbs to sit on top of it. Yeah, because protein will float in the stomach, and I don't want that. I want it to digest properly, so I want it pushed down so the carbs go on top of it. And then I also don't drink any water 10 minutes after my meals, because I don't want to expand the stomach.
Okay, I thought so. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
When you expand the stomach, what happens is you got a larger surface area. The bigger the surface area, the more insulin is going to be secreted. The more insulin you have, the lazier they can become. Lazy insulin makes you insulin resistant. You want to be insulin sensitive. When you're insulin resistant, your insulin grabs the nutrients and it drops it in the blood sugar. When it's dropped in the blood sugar, it gets stored as fat. It gets stored in the liver and then released as fat.
Interesting.
That's why a lot of people have to take glucose disposal agents. That's why that's what type 2 diabetes is. It's just lazy insulin.
Interesting. I feel like one thing that I've been noticing a lot is whenever I take my lunch break, which is usually like at 1:30, I usually don't find myself drinking water while I'm eating, which I find really weird. And I get into the habit of thinking like, okay, I didn't drink enough water throughout this meal, so I feel like I should drink some water. So I drink like half of my water bottle, but then I just feel really, really full.
Do you experience any gas?
Huh?
Do you experience any gas from that?
Not really. No, not much. Not much gas. But I do feel really, really full and really, really bloated. But another thing, that is fascinating how you eat your meals in like a specific order. Because for me right now, like, do you like compared to, say for example, you just have chicken, rice, and broccoli, and you just eat like one thing, like in a sequence order, like you take a bite of rice, then chicken, then broccoli. Have you noticed anything different from the way of like a combination of that eating to your eating style now?
Yes, so for example,
because I might try this tomorrow, and I want to see how this would go,
especially with the when I don't eat the vegetables first, I experience real bad bloating. I just feel like the it's not being digested properly. When you're getting ready for a show and you're getting real lean, you feel everything in your stomach. You feel everything that's happening in your body. Even when you work out, you feel that muscle group that you're targeting. You feel it getting warm. You feel it swelling up. You feel the blood flow to it. Same thing with digesting. Like when you eat vegetables, you feel like that stomach acid, that gut biome just building. You feel like it's ready to fire. Mm-hmm. And then you just feel like when you do eat the protein after, it's a little drier. Everything becomes drier by doing this, but you get used to it. And you just feel like once you eat the chicken, when I'm done eating, I feel satisfied. I feel like it's already starting to digest. I don't feel bloated. I don't feel full. Doesn't matter how much I eat, because you got to remember, my meals change. Like, for example, 2 weeks ago, I was only eating half cup of brown rice. Now I'm eating 1.5 cups of brown rice post-workout. And that's 3 times the quantity. And the day that it switched, I didn't feel any more full or any bloatedness the day. So, one day you go from 0.5 cups to 1.5, you increase your carbs by 3 times in one meal. And the next day I felt like it was the same meal. It didn't feel like overwhelming. It didn't feel like it was a lot of food. It didn't feel like it was a lot of stress on my gut. It didn't feel like I was using any extra calories to digest it. And then with the carbs, I haven't realized too much of a problem, but I do realize that when it does get into the intestines, you feel like a swelling that's happening. And that's because those carbs are producing gases, and then it's expanding the gut. And eating this way, you know how a lot of people, they're like, oh, I love the way I look in the morning because I look amazing. Well, yeah, you're fasting. The way that I look from the morning till the time that I'm on, like, let's say meal number 6, I look almost the same. Like, my stomach stays flat. I don't get bloated at all anymore. And we have a family issue with it runs in the family where we bloat and we have bad problems digesting things. That's why I'm doing 8 meals a day, because it's just, for me, it's a sweet spot. Every 2 hours that I'm eating, for some reason, it boosted my metabolism. It's going down perfect, and my body is responding to it much better. Like, my muscle bellies have swelled. My workouts have gotten better. My hunger has been at bay. There's no insulin spikes. There is no crashes.
When you say you have 8 meals, are they big meals? Like, what goes into each meal?
So, like, my first meal is 8 egg whites. It's
God, and you use condiments for that.
Actually, I do cook them with spinach.
Okay, that is flavor. But even with that.
Yeah, and then sometimes I'll sprinkle some salt because it's my pre-workout meal.
Oh my goodness!
If I don't want to do the salt before the gym, I'll just sprinkle it on there a little bit. I'll have that meal, and then I'll have after I'm done eating that, I usually eat my berries. I get half a cup of blueberries, and that's to help increase growth hormone production. Growth hormone production is at its peak from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Really?
Yeah, I do it to sleep. It's usually within the first 2 to 3 hours that you wake up. That's when your growth hormone production is going to be at its greatest. Blueberries help increase the natural production of growth hormone. And I'll have a cup of oatmeal.
With the berries?
I like to do them separate just because I love carbs so much that the last thing I want to bite is of carbs.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's more sustained, like I'm more satisfied that way. And with my oatmeal, what I've been doing recently is I sprinkle cinnamon into it because cinnamon secretes insulin. It helps put more insulin in the body.
Are you eating plain oatmeal or are you eating the pre-made packs of it?
No. It's plain. It's rolled oats. I know my diet sounds really bad, but to be honest, because it's been doing it for 6 months, 4 months now, you're just so used to just being bland, and it's not difficult. You still look forward to your meals because I haven't had anything flavorful. Actually, if I have something flavorful, I think my body is going to be like, what is this? This is too much.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then my second meal is 6 ounces of chicken and a cup of brown rice, and then my veggies. And my third meal is half cup of brown rice and 6 ounces of tilapia. And then my fourth meal is 6 ounces of chicken and 3 ounces of sweet potato. My fifth meal is the same as my third meal. It's tilapia, 6 ounces, and half cup of brown rice. My sixth meal is the same as my fourth meal. That's 6 ounces of chicken, 3 ounces of sweet potato. My seventh meal is 6 ounces of tilapia, half cup of brown rice. And my last meal is a 40-gram shake, protein shake. IsoPure. There's so much bullshit brands out there. at least with Isopure, every 1 gram of protein is 4 calories. Isopure is 100 calories.
Ooh, Isopure. The one time that I've had Isopure, like the pre-made ones, it was so chalky to me. So chalky.
Yeah, you got to get the powder. I don't like the pre-made ones. I don't like the taste of them. I absolutely love the flavors. You need to try apple pie or like salted caramel or their cookies and creams. Actually, they're the only company I've ever liked the cookies and cream for. I put cinnamon in it. It tastes like Cinnamon Toast Crunch. So, and that, that's also cinnamon's like a glucose disposal agent.
Interesting.
But the way the meals are structured is to get those glucose levels in the muscles filled, and it's a lower fat content at the moment. But I used to have more fats at nighttime to slow down digestive, to get my body ready to, hey, you're about to go to sleep. Let's slow down the digestion. But now, because we're just trying to stay leaner and leaner, we pulled out the fats. My diet is not ideal for anybody. It's just ideal for where I'm at. And
yeah. You're definitely in like a stage prep kind of diet right now, which I understand. The
problem with dieting is a lot of people like to do macros, and I don't believe in macros.
Really?
I don't believe in them one bit. Because Brian, you got to remember, your metabolism works off of what you're eating. It burns the fuel that you give it. It's just like a furnace and you're throwing coal into it. It's going to get hotter the more coal you throw in. It's going to get less hot the less coal you throw in, right? On a locomotive, on old school cartoons or TV shows we used to watch, and they throw coal in the in the train. And so it's the same thing with your metabolism. The more food you feed yourself, the faster your metabolism. The less food you feed yourself, the lower the metabolism. And everybody, based on your genetics, either that metabolism is going to skyrocket or it's going to not burn as hot. So it's either not going to. So what we like to do is, okay, we fed you all this food. Now we know your metabolism's at this rate. Now let's take away some of the food. Your metabolism is not going to match the food instantly. It's going to take time for that metabolism to slowly go down, because now it knows that you're feeding it less food. So it's going to slowly come down. But at that point, you pulled out more food. And so now you're always in a deficit. The calorical, because you cannot calculate someone's BMR.
Yeah.
Your basal metabolic rate changes throughout time. And that can be from either how often you eat, that can be from your genetics, or that can be from the amount of food that you're eating. So it's always going to move up and down. So I think the best way to diet is you have your base calories. Okay. If you weigh 200 pounds and you eat this much food and you stay at 200 pounds, that means your body's burning exactly that many calories. Now, so take it up 500 calories.
When you're looking at this, are you still looking at calories in like as a starting point? Like, let's say, for example, for your example, the maintenance phase would be 2,500 calories. So would you advise them to count those calories, or just count the food that you're eating in the amount that you're eating, but not the caloric value?
I would recommend gauging it based off the amount of food they're eating. Because you remember when we were kids and you would see some, like I was always a chunky kid and I ate a lot. But I knew guys that would eat more than me and they were skinny. Okay, so either when I'm not seeing you, you're not eating at all, or you're eating like this all day long and you just got a crazy metabolism.
Ectomorphs.
So how are we going to say you need the same amount of calories that I need?
True.
It doesn't work that way. I know some guys out there right now that weigh 120 and they actually do eat 3,000 calories a day, which doesn't sound like much, but 3,000 calories, you should be weighing at least 200.
Yeah.
If we're going based off of the average BMR, the socially accepted BMR rates.
Yeah.
Or the medically approved BMR rates.
Interesting. I don't know. I just find that concept really interesting to me because I don't know. I guess you can say that's how I'm kind of doing it right now. I'm not really tracking caloric
Brian,
value.
have you ever did a meal structure where you said, okay, I'm going to do, they got the MyFitnessPal and there's all these apps where you can have like a food diary.
Yeah.
Have you ever said like, okay, I'm going to only do 1,800 calories and I'm going to lose weight? Have you ever,
when I first started,
calculated it? Okay.
When I first started, I gauged on like what worked for me, what didn't work for me, and then I would adjust from there. And then once I get into the rhythm and find that caloric sweet spot where I see myself losing weight with the food that I'm eating, I just basically eat that same thing every single day. And then that will wean me off of tracking and putting it into MyFitnessPal.
Now, that's kind of it. You don't plateau like that?
I certainly do plateau. But when instances in those and when I do plateau, that is when I either do one of two things or both. I either lower my calories or try to change up my calories and how I go about them. So maybe more protein one day, less carbs, or more fat and less carbs. Or I just ramp up more cardio so I can just keep eating the same thing.
Okay, yeah, I can agree with that. That definitely does work. I see. With me, what was happening was I was with an off-season coach. He's just a personal trainer, and he's still a close friend of mine and good buddies. And I just felt like I knew as much as him, and I kept hijacking the diet. He gave me like a generic diet. He built me pretty much a generic diet, and it was okay. And it was 5 meals a day. So I just kind of hijacked it and I made it into 6. And then I started doing the calories myself. And I started like, when you do it yourself, you usually like to punish yourself. And like, I would just keep pulling back calories. Yeah. And I got to a point where I was eating pollock, whitefish, 6 times a day.
Good.
I was eating 6 ounces of it every single meal. And I had a 1/4 cup of black beans post-workout. That was it. What? And then I was also doing an intra-workout shake, which I don't believe in anymore.
Intra-workout steak?
No, shake. Like
shake.
A Carbolin.
Oof.
And, you got to remember something. Carbolin is going to spike your insulin. If you have insulin in the body, you cannot build muscle and you cannannot burn fat.
When you say Carbolin, what is Carbolin? Is that just like a carb supplement?
Carbolin is a carb supplement. It's like
because I used to take Carbogain.
It's pretty much just it's not the same thing because Carbogain is a post-workout. Carbolin is like a Gatorade. It tastes just like a Gatorade, and it has a lot of dextrin in it. It's got a lot of low glycemic and high glycemic carbs in it because it's supposed to fuel you throughout your workout. It's supposed to keep your glucose storage high. And it's got like 25 to 30 grams of carbs in it.
That's it?
Yeah. It's supposed to be like a Gatorade. Because even
oatmeal at that point, I feel like.
Huh?
I feel like you're almost better off at
having oatmeal?
Yeah, oatmeal, because it's just slow releasing. And it's
you don't want slow releasing, not when you're working out.
Well, wouldn't you want like a slower releasing carb to kind of like ride your wave throughout the workout then? This is what people tell me about.
Assimilate.
Yeah, that's true. I usually like my pre-workout regimen would always be eating a bowl of oatmeal like at least in 30 to 45 minutes prior to leaving for the gym. And then right to the gym, changing, stretching, and that's when I feel like in my head is when the oatmeal should be digesting and should be giving me energy throughout on top of my pre. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I like to do at least an hour because I feel like insulin's going to be present in the body, trying to put away all those nutrients. an hour. And I know I kept talking about insulin. It's just a lot of people don't know insulin is the biggest anabolic hormone in the body.
Indeed. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
And it's going to take about an hour for your body to actually transfer all the nutrition to all the cells it needs to go to. And then you have about an hour where your body is using that nutrition to repair and replenish muscle tissue and, refuel all the mitochondria in the cells and all the proper things you need for essential living to just get you through, because your body's always constantly doing something, whether it's filtering water through the kidney, whether it's filtering toxins through the liver, your heart pumping. So I like to give it an hour after I eat my first meal and then go train. Because now I can naturally tear it, because now they're full. All the glucose levels are full, and now I can tear down the tissues. And then I can work. And then after I'm done working out, I like to do cardio, and then I like to drink a protein shake to stop my body from being catabolic. Because now the blood flow, now when your resting heart rate goes back to normal, now when you go from like a heart rate of 120, 140, 160, depending on how intense you're working out, your heart rate's going to go back. Mine hangs real low. Mine hangs around 50 beats per minute. That's what my normal pulse is.
Really?
Yeah. So now your body is going to go catabolic because you don't have the blood flow protecting those cells. Because when you have the blood flow to those muscles, your body's not going to tear them down because that blood flow is pretty much signaling that, hey, we're sending nutrition to this area. That's why I like to always see a good pump. That's why I like to, when you take a pre-workout, I don't do any pre-workouts anymore. When I was doing pre-workouts, I switched it over to pink Himalayan salt for water retention and coffee for the caffeine. I would literally put salt in my coffee and I'd drink it and go to the gym. The only reason why is because all these supplements, they all have all this artificial flavoring. They put strain on the kidneys. And already before my show, I'm going to be drinking like dandelion leaf, tea extract and stuff like that. Things that are going to be a diuretic, and that's going to put strain on my kidneys. So this whole prep time, and we got to look at the longevity. I don't want to be doing this for only 2-3 years. I don't want to be on dialysis when I get older.
Oh, yeah.
So if I kick out pre-workout right now, that's another, that's going to save me. Because now I don't have all that, because that artificial flavoring is all getting filtered through your kidney. Mm-hmm. But when I was buying pre-workouts, I'd look for things like lion's mane or citrulline, just to help with that pump. Because that pump is actually providing nutrients to the body, to that muscle group that you're working out on.
Makes sense. Yes.
That's why we do things like feeder workouts. Like a feeder set when you go real high repetition, or some people call them pre-exhaust, where you're not actually working out. It's just it's just a set just to get the blood flow.
Yeah. And
then you go for your heavy lifts. That's just to get the nutrients into that cell. And now we're going to tear it up. And even if you look at like an active recovery, like you got those EMS machines, you got an eStim, you have the TENS units. And what those are only doing, they cause the muscle to contract. But what that's doing is it's bringing blood flow to the area, and that's going to help with the recovery. Same thing with the cupping. Same thing with massage. You're breaking down the fascia, and that's bringing blood flow to the surface. And that's going to help replenish that muscle group.
Interesting.
Because all the nutrients, it's like that's the subway for the nutrients, is the veins. It's the blood flow.
Huh. Interesting. So I think that I am interested in right now. You mentioned post like an active recovery there. I just bought myself a Theragun. What is your thoughts on percussion therapy?
So I used to use the Hypervolt a lot.
Okay.
Until I broke it.
Oh wow.
And actually right now what I do is, let's talk about the Theragun. So the Theragun,
I mean, like they're kind of like the same thing, basically, right?
Yeah, they're exactly the same. Exactly the same. There's no difference. It's just the Theragun, you can move it. I believe you can move it into different angles, right?
That's like on the very expensive Theragun. I just got like the basic standard one.
It's
speed.
Just a different handle. It's a different handle. The Hypervolt, you got 3 different speeds. And
yeah, my Theragun just has one
take
speed.
out the battery.
Oh wow.
You know, the nice thing with them is, okay, percussion therapy it's foam rolling.
Yeah.
It's foam rolling at like 1,000 foam rolls a minute.
It's great. But
and it's great to stretch out the muscle. And get this, take it with you to the gym when the gyms open back up and use the Theragun in between workouts. Now what you're doing is, so when you're working out, you're tearing down muscle tissue, but you got to remember your body's always trying to survive. It's always trying to adapt. This is why we grow muscles. Your body's adapting to the environment you're giving it. So when you're using the Theragun in between sets, well, let's go back. When you're doing a workout, you turn down the muscle tissue, and what that's doing is it's causing your body to make it tighter. And the reason why it's putting tension in that area is because it's trying to protect it. So when you take the Theragun, you're actually stretching the muscle out. When you're stretching the muscle out, now you can tear up even more muscle tissue. As a workout, all it is you just trying to destroy as much muscle tissue as you can, so that way you can go into a recovery state. Now you're going to need more time to recover. Stretching is good for recovery because it's going to release lactic acid.
Uh-huh.
You also, you don't want to use a Theragun right after a workout. Not, in my opinion, I don't believe so. Just because you do want some inflammation, you do want lactic acid, because that's a signal to your body, hey, we need to recover this. And when you flush out the lactic acid and you take out the inflammation right away, your body's going to be slower at responding to that.
Interesting.
This is just my personal opinion on it. The problem with these opinions is they're such fractional of a percentage and change.
Yeah.
Doing it one way or another.
Mm-hmm. It's not I totally agree with that. That's an interesting fact. Wow.
But I do like it. I just, right now, the reason why I didn't buy another Hypervolt was I decided to
they're pretty expensive.
Yeah, I bought compression pants, compression boots.
I am so interested in that. I've seen so many people on Instagram use those before, and they look amazing. Like, you do them on your legs, and I'm like, dude, my legs would probably love that.
Well, the nice thing with it is, so I used to do a lot of cryotherapy.
Oh, you did? I always wanted to do that.
They're not available right now because of the lockdown.
Yeah.
They're not an essential business.
It was like back in the day when cryotherapy was becoming a big thing. All the YouTubers that I watched were doing cryotherapy. I've even got pamphlets for cryotherapy at my gym handed to me, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this one day. And the day just never came.
Well, it was, I don't know. I did it for a whole month, and I went in it the wrong way. Because, they tell you can lose 800 calories. That's complete bullshit.
No way.
You're not going to lose 800 calories.
No chance.
Yeah, and so, I did it, and I was like, okay, let's just keep the same exact diet. Let's not change anything up. Let's see how much more weight I'm going to lose this week. This is my maintenance calories. This is everything that I'm doing right now is all maintenance. Let's see how much weight I can lose by doing this. Oh, I did it for the whole 30 days. I didn't lose anything. I didn't lose any weight, but my recovery rate was so much better. That was one of the things that I did realize. My recovery was phenomenal.
Huh. Yeah. I think that concept of burning 800 calories is insane. Is it 800 calories? Do I think? No. Do I think you're burning at least maybe 100 calories, maybe 50 to 100? I think so.
Possibly, yeah.
I think that, but not enough to make a significant impact on weight loss.
See, the nice thing with it is, so what cryotherapy does is it's supposed to help increase collagen production. Yeah, it's just like taking an ice bath, but what it does is it makes all your blood go to your heart because it's so cold. It's negative 180 to 200 degrees Fahrenheit. Your body sends all the blood to the heart because it thinks you're going to die. And so because all the blood goes to your heart, it gets repumped out. And so that cleans all your blood, and it helps with circulation. And so the same thing happens with compression boots. Compression boots, you have different levels. You can take it to 100 and you can take it up to like 200 mH. And what it's doing is it's pushing all the blood out of your legs. And that's helping with your circulations in your legs, but it's also cleaning your blood. It's pushing it out.
It's like you're getting fresh new blood.
Yeah, because it's being forced back into the heart, and then it's coming back into your legs. And one of the things that my bad.
What is MH when you say that? What's the units?
Let me look it up. It's the same thing on a blood pressure machine.
Okay.
When you look at the blood pressure, it starts MH over ml.
Yeah, I thought so because when you say compression therapy, that was what I immediately thought of is when you're getting your blood pressure taken and it just compresses that specific area in your arm. That's interesting. How much did you get compression bands for?
At the time they had them. I believe I saved $100 on them. I got them for a total of $899.
$899.
Yeah, but Brian, I went with a company called Rapid Reboot. And my massage therapist uses them. And you got to remember, every time you go to a massage therapist, any place that offers compression boots, they're gonna charge you $30 a session. I put my feet in them every Thursday with my massage therapist, and I get it for free because he's my buddy and whatever. And he just puts them on me while he does my chest. While he does muscle scraping on my chest, cupping on my chest. Deep tissue.
You've been scraped before?
Oh yeah. Oh, I get scraped every week.
No way.
Sometimes
really?
we use the L bar. Sometimes he uses the Gaishi. I think I'm saying it right.
Wow.
The Gaishi stone, and that really breaks down the fascia. That breaks down the fascia a lot, and it does help with recovery.
Do you do the sequence? Do you do these all cupping, scraping all in one day?
Yeah, so it's an hour-long session. We do about 30 minutes on the back and then 30 minutes on the legs. But as the show gets closer, we do 2 sessions a week. One where we do our legs and one to do our chest.
No way. So do you just get cupped first and then they scrape you to get that blood flow going? No. We want to keep the blood. So the blood flow first, they do a warm-up where it's just like a regular deep tissue massage. A lot of tension, but my guy knows what he's doing. So he'll dig in there and get my pec minor, which you got to pull. You got to pretty much dig into the armpit to get that. And then he'll do my pec major. And, it's all just hands work. And even when you get closer to show, it's got to be all hand work because if it's not manual massage, you're going to retain water. Cupping retains water. Scraping retains water. And so he'll start off with that just to get the muscles ready. And then he'll go into the scraping, which will break down the fascia. And then he'll go back into a massage to get that because it leaves a mark, And so he'll get that out and then he'll put the cups on. Because when I leave, he wants me to still have my marks because we want to see the recovery rate. It should still be there in 3 days. You want to keep that blood flow at the surface for at least 24 hours. So when you do cupping, it's not like a instant recovery. It's over time. That blood flow stays at the surface for a while. Wow. I've always wanted to get scraped. Is it truly as painful as people say it is?
You get used to it. It's just I don't know. Have you ever gotten your eyebrows waxed?
Oh God, yes.
Yeah, the first time is very painful, and then afterwards, your body gets used to it.
Oh man, because I used to watch Steve Cook, and Steve Cook got scraped once, and I'm like, it just looks like they're just tearing him apart.
Yeah, you definitely get used to it, and it also depends on how sore you are. For a beginner, of working out, your body, you know how you get like a sore chest to the point where you can't even move your arms?
Oh God, it's the worst.
Yeah, if you're gonna get scraped during that time, yeah, it's gonna be real painful.
Interesting.
But for somebody who works out constantly, you don't get too sore. You know, like, yeah, the first week you work out, you get super sore. Then afterwards, it just becomes the norm.
Yeah, definitely is. I've felt that before. Oh, wow. Well, let's try to wrap this up right now. It's almost 4:30.
My bad.
Oh, no, you're good. This has been a very, very informative podcast, and I have learned a lot. You seem like you really know your stuff and what you've been doing, which is really, really awesome. I'm actually going to try my meal prep this week because I'm about to cook after this. My meal prep for this week, I'm actually going to try to do this no seasoning and see how it goes with it.
If you lose a lot of weight, just remember that's the water retention. You got no sodium, you got real low sodium.
Yeah.
But monitor your blood pressure, because if your blood pressure gets a little too low, you're going to need some salt.
Do you add any salt in the seasoning process at all too, or no?
No.
Really?
But the food doesn't last as long. You gotta cook like every other day.
Every other day?
Because the salt preserves. Well, the food's only gonna last about 3 days.
Oh wow! I usually try to cook for like
it's in the fridge.
The whole work week. Gotcha.
Well, if you freeze it, you won't have a problem.
Okay, definitely. Well, thanks for coming on, man. I definitely do want to get you. There's a lot more that I want to talk to you about, and due to time constraints for both of us right now, we can't get to that. But definitely, as your show goes on, I want to get you back on here so we can talk about, for one, how your prep's going, and just more about like what you know, because you seem like these past 11 years has been a lot. Like you've holy crap, you are really, really informative with what you know.
Yeah, I mean, I was lucky to be surrounded by a lot of people with a lot of information, and just constantly learning from them.
Wow. Well, yeah, definitely. It was a pleasure having you on. Thanks for taking the time for coming on and talking with me and catching up. It's like we'll definitely be more in touch. I've been meaning to reach out to you more because I just see your Instagram. It's just really motivational and really informative, and I've been really curious too.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me, Brian. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man.
Good talking to you.
For real.
It's been way too long.
Indeed. All right, man. We'll catch you on the next episode.
Thank you, brother.
Yep. Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of The More You Know. Please stay tuned for next week. And if you are wondering where you can find us on Anchor, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Radio Public, Pocket Casts, and Breaker.